we started out right at the outset wanting to make a game simultaneously for both the Xbox and the PC. And so what we did was, we kind of set the bar at the Xbox level, and the PC version is going to be different only in that it obviously supports a different UI. I mean, we're going to support the mouse and keyboard and higher resolutions. Other than that, our goal is really to design one game, one experience, and then let players go for it. A lot of people say, well, I don't want to play a game that isn't designed specifically for my platform. I've never really understood that. What we really want to do is provide a particular kind of experience that we think players, regardless of what kind of hardware they have, will enjoy. And I think we can do that very effectively. The Xbox is a pretty decent piece of hardware, and so I don't think PC players will feel shortchanged in any way. If we'd gone out of our way to do PC only, say, maybe we would have built bigger maps. Maybe we would have gone with higher resolution textures. Maybe. Fundamentally, does that make the game any more fun to play? I don't think it does, really. There are a lot of people over the years who think big open areas to explore are the secret of gameplay. I think it's kind of a waste of time. I mean, it's all the stuff that people cut past and in movies. So for us, we made the maps the size they are to meet our gameplay goals, not to meet a piece of hardware's capabilities. So no, I don't think players are going to have any problems at all with the size of the maps, the way the game looks. I think both platforms are well served. Well, there are a couple of reasons for doing an Xbox version. What most people don't understand, probably because we never actually talked about it, is all of us here, though we've been making PC games for many years, we're actually console gamers as much as we are PC gamers. I've always had every console available, from day one. And to be honest, most of my gaming is done on the console, especially recently, where most of the innovation seems to be. So there's always been this desire, and until recently, no one was foolish enough to give us enough money to show that we could do it. So now we have a publisher in IDOS that supports us in our efforts, and also we have consoles that are powerful enough to actually support the kinds of gameplay we want. It's not like we're willing to compromise our gameplay ideals to actually to squeeze onto a box to reach a larger audience. I mean, I talk to folks at IDOS all the time. We're making decisions here every day that are probably costing us sales, but there are things we want to do in games that we feel we have to do in games that we're just going to do. And frankly, if you want something else, we may not be the right people to do it. So we kind of had to wait for the hardware, the console hardware, to catch up with our ideals, I guess. But now that we're there, we really can make the kinds of games we want to make and make them work on the PC and on the Xbox without compromise. I think the bulk of innovation that I see, at least, is coming on the console side. I think it's been a real dry spell for the PC. I think, look at VibRibbon. DDR didn't start out on a PC. Eco is not a game that anybody in the PC world was going to make. There are countless examples of exciting. I mean, Mr. Mosquito. I mean, that no one was going to make a game like that on the PC. There are plenty of people taking some big risks on that side. Not of the ocean, but on that side of the hardware ocean, I guess. Boy, that was a very bad name. Anyway, but you know what I mean. I look at the PC world and it's like, do I really need to play another action role-playing game where I get to run around and click as fast as I can? Do I need another shooter with more cooler looking enemies and bigger badass guns? I mean, do I need another real-time strategy game? Somebody's got to do something new and different, And I see it happening on the console side. I really do. I think we're already in a world of trouble in the United States. Frankly, uh, the cost of doing business is so high, and the risks are so high that everybody's getting super conservative. Um, you know, how many games with numbers after their names did you see at E3? And I say that realizing that we're doing a sequel to Deus Ex and a sequel to Thief here. Um, I hope, I hope that we're taking a few more risks as a result of having that security that comes with Deus Ex, Invisible War, Thief, the third in the series. I think we're still trying to be innovative, but I wish I saw more U.S. developers going out on a few more limbs. I think we're already there. We're in trouble if we keep on rehashing what we've already done. I think sequels and rehashes of genre staples are pretty much one and the same. They go hand in hand. It's all part of the same problem. People are looking for a pre-sold property. I mean, you've got to do the next Bond game or the next Diablo game or the next whatever game, the next Deus Ex and Thief game. And let me really point the finger back at myself as well. Um, but what we have to do is continue to find ways to innovate in the context of existing genres, in the context of existing game worlds. Um, and I think that's possible. I mean, clearly, I've actually, I shouldn't say this, but I've told folks at IDOS that if this studio ends up doing nothing but Deus Ex games and Thief games for the rest of eternity, if I have to have like hands-on involvement with Deus Ex 35 and Thief 22, I'll probably kill myself. Well, what I'm saying is that we need we need a business that somehow supports innovation, that supports crazy ideas that no one else understands. That's one thing, and at the same time, we need to be looking at our existing genres and saying, what can we do that's new and different within them? We can't just settle for what we've always done. We can't just make another game that's basically Ultima 7 or something, with better graphics. So there's innovation within context. There's merging of genres, and one of the things that I always found amusing, Deus Ex, I think it was. I mean, obviously, I love it. I think it was a great game. I think the gameplay was cool and innovative in a lot of ways. When people started talking about it like it was some amazing revolution, I was saying, pretty much what we did was we built on a foundation established by Origin and Looking Glass. And then you took one from column A, one from column B, one from column C. I mean, we kind of took the best of a bunch of genres and mixed them all together and made this stew that had a bunch of elements from a bunch of genres. And I guess that's innovative. That's one way to innovate. But there are these crazy ideas that, salespeople and guys in suits may not understand, that maybe nobody understands. But there's someone out there who burns to do something. Those are the people we have to find a way to support. Okay, let me be a total hypocrite here. And as much as I abhor the fact that we're in this world of sequels and rehashes of old genres and licenses, I'm not at all turned off by the idea of working with a licensed property. I kind of find the idea appealing, because fundamentally, the stories are easy. Storytelling is a solved problem. Gameplay is hard, okay? And you can innovate on the gameplay side, regardless of the story, setting, context, whatever. So, if Eidos tomorrow said, Warren, you can do the next Tomb Raider game, I'd go, all right, cool. There's plenty of cool stuff you could do with Lara Croft, for crying out loud, If someone came to me tomorrow and said, Warren, go ahead and make a game set in the Philip Pullman universe, his Dark Materials. Read them; they're great. It's a trilogy of books alone. If someone gave me that universe tomorrow, there's a great game we could make set in that world. If someone said, hey, Open Range just opened, Kevin Costner movie, make a Western. I'd go, rock on, I'm there. Um, so yeah, I mean, licenses, it's a nice context, it's a nice setting. It solves about 10% of your game development problems, game design problems, and it still leaves you with all sorts of room to play around with. What does the player actually do? So yeah, licenses are cool. Well, it's interesting. A lot of people cite the similarities between Deus Ex and The Matrix, and there was literally, I mean, I can't overstate this, there was literally no influence whatsoever. Uh, we were in pre-production on Deus Ex so long before we even knew that there was going to be a movie called The Matrix, and we were so far down the road with our own development that there wasn't really time to be influenced, except with the cheat. We said, "Hey, this would be kind of funny. We'll throw that in there." But it's a true story. I shut down the studio for a day and took everybody out to see The Matrix. Every once in a while when a big movie opens, we all go out to see the movie, and it's like the whole team was sitting there watching The Matrix, and it was like you could hear everybody going. And what everybody was grumbling about was, "Hey, they stole our character! Look, that's J.C. Denton up there on the screen." It was really funny. I mean, it's just we all just plugged into the same stuff in the cultural ether or something. It was totally coincidental. There was no influence, none. Actually, Sheldon Pacotti, the lead writer on Deus Ex, returns for Invisible War, which is great. He's a wonderful writer. Understands the Deus Ex universe inside out. We also have another writer, Sarah Page, who signed on for this project. We had 3 or 4 writers on Deus Ex, and at various times we've had more on Invisible War as well. I think if you're doing a game like Deus Ex, professional writers are critical. I mean, we have tens of thousands of lines of dialogue, literally, um, and so the more our non-player characters behave like real people, the more important it's going to be that they sound like real people, respond to input like real people, and so it's critical. The key thing, though, is not that you be a great writer, though obviously we need that, but that you understand gameplay, that you understand interactivity, that you understand enough about programming that you can actually craft interactive conversations, not just write a cool script. There are plenty of great writers in the world, but there aren't a lot of people like Sheldon and Sarah who can actually craft interactive conversations that take into account what you do in the game world as well as what branch you're picking in some goofy little tree structure in a conversation. The trick for us going forward is going to be how do we move away from that branching tree structure and create more robust NPCs in our game worlds. That's a big challenge for us in the future. I can't wait for us to actually tackle that one. But I think great writers are going to be even more important. But it's great writers who understand interactivity, understand programming, understand gameplay more than anything else. It's funny. About the first thing, the folks at Laura Ziskin Productions, the folks who are doing the Deus Ex movie, about the first thing they said to me was, "You have how many lines of dialogue? You have how much story?" The most intriguing maybe part of the process of working with those guys to create a movie set in the Deus Ex universe has been, what tiny percentage of the actual game story can be put on the screen in for a 2 hour, give or take, 2 hour movie. Yeah, there's way more stuff going on in the game than there is in even the longest, most convoluted, most sophisticated movie, just in terms of bulk of plot, necessarily quality. Forget, I'm not talking about quality. I think Invisible War, we did a great job of honing and homing in on the elements of Deus Ex gameplay that really worked. I think we did a great job of stripping out the things that were unnecessary. We didn't know they were unnecessary in Deus Ex, but the things that we discovered weren't necessary to the experience. So I think in terms of creating the distilled Deus Ex experience. We've done a pretty darn good job. The team's really done a nice job. I think the big challenges for us, the places where we really didn't even try, are in the areas of non-combat character interaction. I think that's the next big frontier for gaming, especially story-based, character-driven gaming, which is, to be frank, the only stuff I'm personally interested in. And that's where our focus is going to be at IonStorm for the foreseeable future, at least. For that kind of game, I think we need to work much harder on creating believable non-player characters for players to interact with. I think we also we have a wonderful, sophisticated Havoc physics system and a marvelous render that offers us the ability to do amazing things with lighting and shadows. But in that way that when you create something new, you never quite exploit it to the maximum the first time you use it. I think in the future we're going to get much more gameplay bang for our buck out of physics and lighting than we are in Invisible War. I think the fact that we're going to get, I'm making stuff up now, but we're going to get 60% of what that kind of technology is capable of doing. I think that's going to put us leaps and bounds ahead of a lot of people. But I think in the future you're really going to be blown away by what we can do even with our existing tech. But really for me it's characters. That's the big place where I think we've got as an industry, forget about just us as individual developers. I think that's the next big leap forward, interacting with people you believe in and think are real. Isn't it pathetic? It's kind of amazing. I remember before we started working on System Shock, Doug Church, who was a brilliant project director, he's such a genius and so underappreciated in this business. He and I talked about our experience working together on Underworld and about the Ultimate games that I'd worked on with Richard Garriott. And we just said, we don't know how to do any better with conversation. This was in 1991, maybe. We just don't know how to do conversations any better. We don't know how to do character interaction any better. And he just said, why don't we kill off everybody on Citadel Station? We can just unask the question about how to interact with characters. And it's like, light bulb goes off over your head and go, oh my God, what a great idea. And then we started working on Deus Ex, and it's like, I don't want to kill everybody. That's insane. And people understand the old Ultima or, Lucas Scum model. They just get it. They don't even think about it. We'll do the old, the goofy branching tree thing. And so that's what we did. And that's what we're doing on Invisible War. And honestly, if I knew how to do it any differently, I would. And I hope that our next big thing, I want to go to all the designers and programmers in this building and say, okay, here's the challenge. Before we start working on our next game, let's figure this out. And we may fail. We almost certainly will because it's a really hard problem. But let's tackle that. Let's figure out something that's a little more sophisticated, a little better than what we were doing 15 years ago. We've got to do better than that.